Hey everyone, before we get started, take a second to like and subscribe to the show.
It's the best way to help us share great information with more people. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we're back for part 2 of our series with Win Hansen, the founder and CEO of Rareflow and Sleep Fitter. Today we're going to be talking about the role of thermoregulation in getting better sleep and how Win is helping people get better sleep with better temperature management. Welcome to Care Lab. Thanks so much for coming back again, Win.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, I have talked to you enough to understand that thermoregulation, the ability to make sure that we're staying at the right temperature, is super important for our sleep. So, I wanted to know if you could go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about the science of that and where would she be at with what kind of temperature and why is it hard to do that? Let's start there. Like, why is it hard to make it happen?
Yeah, I think we start with the commercial market in that they're selling temperature, but they're trying to make up for foam products that create heat when you sleep on it. And so we create these bed environments around us that generate and hold heat and create heat pockets. What what so many commercials and products and podcasts are telling you is drop your room temperature. They're saying buy this cool to the touch product, but they're not telling people when you buy those cooling products that feel cold, they actually retain more heat over the night. So people
Hmm.
wake up in the middle of the night and they don't know why they woke up. They wake up and they're like, did I hear something or why? They might be just a little bit clammy. That is thermal heat disruption in sleep. And especially if you're a caregiver, moisture and heat are your enemy to sleep for whoever you're taking care of. And I used to be work for Johnson & Johnson Medical, and we'd always say cleanse, moisturize, and protect. But we say that because we're developing heat underneath the person that's sleeping in the same position for a long period of time, and that heat and moisture can break down skin. And then if you're taking care of
Hmm.
somebody that's incontinent, a lot of people don't know if you take fecal matter and urine, put it together, and you don't clean, it creates an enzymic breakdown of the skin that causes you a pressure ulcer or skin or some issue later on. So that heat generation underneath has two effects. One, it can affect your skin, and two, your brain is always looking to protect you during sleep. And so it's looking for thermal regulation, which is, am I too hot? What's going on? Am I wet? Is there moisture? And is there pressure? And for anybody taking care of anybody that is sick, that's your bony prominences, right? Those are your lookout areas for pressure ulcers. And in the sleep environment, it's all about being cool to go to sleep. And that's because your body needs to drop a certain degree of temperature to trigger sleep. And so if you're creating all this stuff around you that retains heat, your body can't really naturally regulate itself.
Hmm.
And that's why I've created the sleep fitter method, which is a four-part method that looks at sleep awareness first. Figure out what's going on with your sleep. Secondly, thermal regulation. Are you taking behavioral health medications because you're caring for someone and it's a lot of work? That is disrupting your ability to thermal regulate. Pain meds, behavioral health meds, menopause, perimenopause, men are taking testosterone. Those are all causing this heat buildup between you and the surface you're sleeping on. And that's what we want to address most importantly. If we take care of that, then we can take care of position management. That's that piece of, am I breathing and respirating okay? Should I sleep with elevated head? But I have an elevated head, but I sleep on my side. Now what happens to my lower back? So, that's where Sammy and other products, come in to figure out that out. And then the fourth one is pressure management. The least important one of it all is what you're sleeping on. It's what you're sleeping in and around that are causing heat and position issues before you need a new mattress. So I know that was a lot, but the sleep fitter method is know your sleep first, sleep awareness, thermal regulation second, position management for healthcare issues or respiration or stomach issues, and lastly, a mattress. but so many in the commercial market start you at a mattress and tell you they'll fix all the other stuff.
Mm, that's really, really interesting. I also think, y we've sort of, in our first episode of this series, we were really talking about, how important it is for caregivers to get enough sleep. And this conversation has also it's been almost more geared towards how the person that we're caring for, how sleep is protective or directly influences their health in terms of, their skin integrity, so potential for developing wounds and bed sores, pain management, that kind of thing. How Let's kind of bring these two things together a little bit and talk about how like the sleep fitter method kind of addresses both of those populations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when I took this technology that I licensed to pull the air out of bed underneath you, so we get rid of that heat pocket and we run a
Mhm.
river of air underneath you. I tried to take it to the consumer market, and all of those major manufacturers weren't too interested in outcome driven sleep. They were interested in selling square rectangle mattresses.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's a massive industry of billions of dollars. They
Mm,
want you to buy a product, walk out the door, and probably not return it. And
mhm,
20% of the mattresses purchased are returned because people are suffering in those first parts that I talked about. You
mhm,
can't solve uh, menopausal night sweats with a mattress. I don't care how cool to the touch it is. The minute you go and buy it, it's
mhm,
retaining heat through the night and actually is working against you in moisture. But nobody knows these things. We don't have a great resource for the caregiver or the consumer or the patient to really understand and wade through the noise that we create in the sleep industry. There's
mhm.
a lot of noise, and that's why I came up with the sleep fitter method. Also, if moisture is your issue, the standard products aren't going to take care of you, whether or not you're a caregiver
Ye Not at
or the,
all.
or the patient. Because
Mhm,
if what you said, I mean, if you're the patient and you have heat and moisture, we're going to have other long term issues. As
yeah,
mobility decreases, we're going to have more high risk of skin integrity issues.
mhm,
When you're a caregiver, if you're getting hot, you're not hitting your REM cycles, you're moving around a lot in bed, you're
mhm,
waking up when maybe you don't know it. Those are the environment around you. If your brain's always protecting you, if your hip starts to hurt, it doesn't wake you up all of a sudden the first minute that it started to hurt. Your brain knew it. It was micro shifting you during the night, which is disrupting your sleep cycles to get you to move. So
mhm,
that's true for both the patient and the caregiver.
mhm,
These aspects of thermal regulation, position management, and pressure management go both ways.
mhm,
We know that there's so many people with undiagnosed sleep apnea. We know that people just
mhm,
accept suffering through sleep. You don't have to suffer through sleep, and there's not going to be a silver bullet to solve your sleep. You just have to start on a sleep journey for both sides of that coin, for the caregiver and for the patient.
Yeah, that's so true. That's why I like the four-step kind of method that you have in order to like think through all the things that impact sleep. So, can you tell us a little bit about you've mentioned a couple of times how mattresses can feel cool to the touch because I've seen lots of things that are like, "Oh, this is going to keep you from sweating as much." But can you explain why cool to the touch actually kind of traps heat and then what rare flow is doing in order to allow you to have better thermal regulation?
I'm gonna try and do this without geeking out because remember, I'm a founder and inventor and
We
everything else. So I'm
listen,
gonna
we
do it
love
really.
geeking out. We're
All right.
Yes.
all about that. Yes.
So the least inexpensive products that feel cool to the touch have a wax on it. And what that wax does, it's wax on the thread that makes it feel like your body temperature is further away from the material temperature. Now, we all know wax is not absorbable for moisture. So if you're putting out moisture and you're hot, we're not getting that ability of wicking in cotton and other things in those materials. So those are sprayed on waxes and dipped wax threads and yarns.
Hmm.
You ever go into a mattress store and it looks like it's like a really shiny, expensive cover? And you're like, boy, that's really slick. Well, that's polyethylene thread, that's plastic. And what that has done is to create a heat highway in the cover to pull heat away from you as a highway. But the problem is those have a thermal capacity. Everything has a thermal capacity. And because it's polyethylene, again, we're going to the plastic side of the world, is it's not absorbable for moisture. It's horrible for moisture.
Hmm.
So the mattress industry, and I have a lot of great friends in the mattress industry, and they're really good people, but manufacturers put them behind an 8 ball to say this is a cooling product. It doesn't solve night sweats. That moisture absorption that you need when you're outputting moisture or sweat can't be absorbed by wax or by plastic. I think that's, pretty well known.
Hmm.
Um, when you create these cool to the touch environments, they're created very purposeful to get you to buy products quickly, make them feel like they're going to work for you, and then be good enough that you're not going to return them. And there's no there we're a 4-star industry. Sleep is a 4-star industry because people only buy stuff when it gets really bad. And so whatever you get is going to be a little bit better than what you had.
Hmm.
But you have to be very specific in the problem that you solve. And so that thermal regulation, the materials that the industry puts in to the beds is meant for you to purchase, not for you to sleep better. And
Interesting.
if you go into any mattress store, and again, there are some mattress stores that do this right, but you're not going to give them your intimate details. Yeah, I have pelvic floor issues. I am getting into menopause, and I wake up and my sheets are gray, and I have to wash them 2 nights a week. We don't tell strangers that in a mattress store. And if you did, that mattress store, what is called an RSA, isn't qualified to help you do it. And so, what do we do? And Dr. Archie will know this is that we go to prescriptions. If you're not sleeping well, let's go get you tested. Let's go see if you have sleep apnea. Well, wait a minute. You don't have sleep apnea that insurance will cover for you. You don't need a CPAP, but oh, yeah, you're still not sleeping any better. Well, what do you have for me? Yeah, don't really have much. Good luck. Go to the internet. And and so at the end of the day, if there's not a prescriptive measure, then people are left on their own to try and figure it out. And as sleep consumers, manufacturers, even educators prey on us for those solutions. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think so let me just make sure I understand fully. Even though it feels cool to the touch immediately and it can move heat away from your body so that you can feel cool, at some point in the night, that ability it has taken on as much heat as it can take, and now it's going to push that back towards you. And when
Yeah.
you get too hot, then you're going to wake up and that's going to disrupt your sleep cycle. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a dirty secret in the industry. If you have the natural material, let's just say it's a cup, and the cup is this big, you're filling that cup through the night with your body heat. And when we say heat capacity, eventually this cup runs over of your heat. That cup is full. Now, if I put sprays and chemicals on it, it feels cool to touch. The cup is actually bigger. It it goes bigger in size. You can put more heat into it. But the problem is when it meets its capacity, it's pushing more heat back on you. It's a bigger disruptor later on. So
Hmm.
very often the most cool product that you touch and you're like, "Oh my god, this is really cool." It's going to throw more heat back on you in the middle of the night. Now the
Hmm.
question is, do you fill that bucket all the way full? The average consumer probably not, but 57% of the sleeping population at least occasionally or regularly sleeps hot. And
Mhm.
so what do? Is we blow fans in our face, right? So we turn on the ceiling fans, we try and shove this air into our bed to stay cool. But what doesn't happen is it doesn't get to that contact layer between you and the mattress where your body is protecting you from all these things that we've been talking about. So you are absolutely right, is that everything has heat capacity. The more we manipulate it, the more it can affect your sleep.
And so, but rare flow does not do that, right? Because it's actually circulating air through, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is it's actually circulating air through the mattress. And that is not only allows the heat to be carried away from your body, but then it's dissipated outside of the materials so that it essentially makes it's like taking that cup and cutting a hole in the bottom so you can just keep pouring and pouring and pouring
Oh,
into it,
I love the cutting in
right?
the whole piece. That's a great visual from what
You
I
can
was
use
saying.
that.
I'm gonna have to, right? There is no cup. There's a cup, but there's a hole in the bottom. Yeah, you're absolutely right. What we own is we have exclusively licensed from a $3 billion medical company the ability to pull air out of a bed. So we're not blowing on you. We're not
Mm,
forcing air at you. It's more efficient and it's more controllable. When you get that heat exchange, you're absolutely right. Is that you're heating the material and the materials underneath you. The air comes through, absorbs that heat, pulls it out of the bed, absorbs that heat. The other thing is that we're all putting out moisture all the time, all day long. What happens is that if we run this air underneath you, there's also a humidity vapor exchange. It never turns to night sweats.
mm,
And so it keeps transferring your moisture that your body's putting out into the air, and then we're removing that air in exchange. And it's why lifelong night sweaters and people that sleep on our product, and we look for the worst night sweaters and the people that have problems. They just stop sweating. We change their lives, and that's what makes it so cool for what we do. Uh, we're we're not for everybody. But if you have a problem where your sheets need to be washed, they're turning colors, you feel icky when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're not as clean as you went to bed. Um, that's true for a large number of people that don't realize there's just a better way to do it with airflow.
mhm,
Well, when this has been so beneficial and learned a lot about like heat, and it makes so much sense when I think about waking up hot and wanting to have my room to be really cold so that there's that differentiator. But that also being bad because I never want to get out the bed in the morning. And so thanks for bringing the science and the humanity to it and the importance for sleep. And if y'all did not get a chance to hear the first episode, please go back so you can hear more about Wynn's story, how he got to be doing this work. And if you made it to the end of this episode, then you should also like and subscribe so that you can get all the rest of the episodes that come after that. And so, thanks very much. We'll talk to y'all next time.
bye.